Hi folks, how's it going? Hope you're well. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that recently I've had a phosphate issue, and I just wanted to take a few minutes really to make a video and explain how I figured out what my phosphate issue was and the very unlikely cause. I think there's a lot of learning from this, and additionally I think that us as buyers of marine equipment can often be misled, and this is a really strong example of where a very well-known manufacturer is misleading and false advertising on their products. So hope you enjoy the video. If you do, give us a thumbs up and let's get stuck in. So I try and keep my phosphates between 0.03 and 0.05, and I noticed over a matter of a few weeks my phosphates were starting to creep up. I hadn't started to feed anymore, I hadn't added any new livestock, and all my filtration and equipment was working just fine, maintenance was on schedules, etc. And I was trying to understand why my phosphates were creeping up. As a kind of an immediate action, I increased my water change frequency, both frequency and volume, to see kind of what impact that would have on my phosphates. And I noticed after every water change my phosphates were creeping up and up. Because increasing phosphates after a water change didn't make any sense, I thought it would be worthwhile testing my freshly mixed salt water to see what the phosphate content was. And interestingly, the first test I did came back with a phosphate result of 0.12. Now it's worth noting that this is a hobby grade test kit. It's a pretty good one, but it is a hobby grade test kit at the end of the day, so I was a bit suspicious of the test kit, and for that reason I bought another 2 different branded test kits, and I also sent off an ICP test. All of those came back with similar results, with phosphates in the range of kind of 0.1, 0.12, so I was really complexed by this. Although very unlikely and unbelievable, I started to suspect the salt that I was using. I contacted Tropic Marin, who responded pretty quickly, really impressed with their customer service and response times, and they asked me to send in 80 grams worth of my salt, and they would carry out their own independent tests, but they did state it's very unlikely to be an issue with their salt. The Tropic Marin tested my salt for phosphate, and the analysis was carried out by Hans-Werner Borlin, so this is the guy behind the original Borlin method, so really knows his stuff. And their test results came back with a phosphate level of 0.07, which really surprised me because this is well above the phosphate level I'm currently targeting, and absolutely explains why I couldn't get or keep my phosphates down. They also went on to say that this is one of the highest concentrations that they've ever found in their salts, but it's not beyond expectations. There are traces introduced through raw materials and cannot be completely avoided. Now, whilst I fully understand this, I'm really surprised to hear that, given that Tropic Marine Pro Reef salt advertises that it's phosphate and nitrate free. I did respond and ask Tropic Marine why their salt contains phosphate and nitrate when on the packaging it clearly states phosphate and nitrate free. I got a response basically to say that we're sorry that we still have this seal on the bucket and we will change it as soon as possible. So this is confirmation really that they believe that what is on the packet, the salt that we're currently buying, is incorrect, misleading and false advertising. And they go on to say that we introduced this seal after we had stopped adding small amounts of phosphates to salt for the prevention of precipitates, and found only very low concentrations of phosphate in our salt. Now, there's a difference between low concentrations of phosphate and free from, in my view, so I thought it was really important to just share this information with you guys, hence the video. It's really easy to understand why people might assume that Tropic Marine Pro Reef salt is phosphate and nitrate free. Here are just a couple of examples of well-known retailers that sell the salt and their comments on phosphate and nitrate. So on the Marine Depot website, it clearly highlights that no impurities like nitrate or phosphate are present. BRS voted Tropic Marine Pro Reef salt as Salt of the Year, and on their website it clearly states does not contain unwanted nitrates or phosphates. And on Charterhouse Aquatics, which is the UK's largest retailer, which I use very often, it also states free from nitrates, phosphates and other unwanted chemicals. Obviously all 3 of these retailers are basing their advice on what's on the packet, and all 3 and the packet are incorrect. So in summary, Tropic Marine Pro Reef salt is not free from phosphates and nitrate. and there's a couple of recommendations really. So the first one for me is always check your freshly mixed salt water for the obvious alkalinity, pH, temperature and salinity, but also for phosphate. This is really important. The second recommendation is to not believe what's on the packet. Obviously do your research, go on kind of what people are saying and the feedback and the brands that you can trust, but you know, even a renowned brand like Tropic Marin doesn't always provide you with accurate information. And the third recommendation is an obvious one, but make sure you're testing your water. If I hadn't been testing phosphates on a regular basis, I wouldn't have A, known that phosphates were creeping up, and B, known that the salt I was using contained low levels of phosphate. I hope that Tropic Marin will soon change their packaging to accurately reflect what is in the salt. I also hope that some of the big retailers like BRS, Charterhouse Aquatics and Marine Depot change their guidance on their website. I will of course keep you updated with any progress on this, so if you want to find out the end result to this, make sure you subscribe and turn notifications on. And additionally, if you're interested in seeing my progress with a 1,000 litre 250 gallon tank build, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Alright, keep safe everyone, hope you enjoyed the video, take care.